In the whole world of self-help, it can feel like we've seen everything, right? So when a new idea pops up making some pretty huge claims, our first reaction is usually a healthy dose of skepticism. Today, we're putting a new framework called the Animator Shift under the microscope. We're going to see if it's genuinely something new or maybe just a new spin on an old idea. Let's dig in.
And I get it. Your first question is probably, really? Another one? The market is just flooded. But the Animator Shift says it's different, and it makes its case with three very specific, very bold promises.
Okay, claim number one. It doesn't start with your thoughts, and that's where most systems live, right? In your head. This one says, nope, the real starting point is your body, how you physically feel from one moment to the next. Claim number two. It completely rejects the idea that you need some long, drawn-out ritual to make a real difference. It's built around a super-fast practice that claims to create a fundamental shift in about a minute. And third, and this one is a really big deal, it claims you don't have to believe in it for it to work. No need to buy into any specific metaphysics or universal laws. It's presented as just a practical tool, not a new religion.
All right, so those are some pretty big promises. Let's peel back the layers and see what's actually under the hood. What is the Animator Shift really?
Okay, so how does it actually work? Let's get into the nitty-gritty. The whole thing really boils down to one single core idea.
So here it is, the big idea. You are not the identity being animated. You are the energy that animates it. What does that even mean? Well, think about it like this. It's saying there's a difference between the roles you play, the parent, the boss, the friend, and the actual energy that brings all those roles to life. Everything else just flows from that one distinction.
And the practice itself? Super simple. It's just 3 steps. First is recognition. You just name the state you're in. Like, okay, I'm the overwhelmed project manager right now. Then step 2 is choice. This is just a quick, 30-second physical reset. Maybe some deep breaths, something to get you back in your body. And finally, embodiment. You actually say out loud the state you want to be in. The whole point is to choose your energy for the day before the day chooses it for you.
A new idea is only as strong as the toughest questions it can handle, right? The people behind this framework actually have this internal stress test they call the Forge. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to throw it into the fire and see how it holds up against the most common critiques. Okay, first up in the Forge, the Originality Challenge. This is the big one, right? Isn't this just something else I've already heard of, but with a new name?
Let's start with a common comparison, the law of attraction. So the key difference they point to is where the power comes from. The law of attraction is all about receiving something from the universe out there. But the Animator Shift says no, the source is internal. It's not about attracting energy, it's about realizing you are the energy.
And they have this killer line that really captures it. The universe didn't send it, you chose it. See that? It flips the whole script from passively waiting for something to happen to actively choosing. It puts the power right back in your hands. All right, so what about good old positive thinking? How is this different? Well, this is all about layers. Positive thinking is about trying to swap a negative thought for a positive one, right? But the Animator Shift says it goes a level deeper. It's about changing the underlying vibe, that kind of emotional background noise that's creating all the thoughts to begin with. And the way they put it is pretty cool. We don't fix thoughts. We change the electricity running through them. The idea is, if you change the current, the thoughts just sort of take care of themselves. Okay, challenge number 2 in the Forge, the evidence challenge. Where's the science? Where are the peer-reviewed studies? And you know what? That is a totally fair and super important question. So, this timeline really helps put things in perspective. Look, the framework is brand new, only 18 months old. But think about something like mindfulness. It was around for thousands of years before scientists really started studying it with randomized controlled trials. And CBT? Decades. Now, this doesn't give it a free pass, not at all, but it shows us that it's just at the very, very beginning of that long road to validation. Okay, that brings us to the next logical question. If we have all these other tools that are backed by science, why bother with this new thing? Especially when you've got juggernauts like James Clear's Atomic Habits out there. So the way they explain the difference is all about where you start. Atomic Habits is an absolute masterclass in changing your behavior first, right? You build your identity through these tiny actions and beliefs. The Animator Shift says it comes before that. It's frequency first. The argument is that your actual felt energy state is what decides which habits and identities even feel possible for you to take on. And honestly, this metaphor just nails it. Atomic Habits builds the house. AS chooses the neighborhood. Think about that. Atomic Habits is the perfect blueprint for building an amazing house. The Animator Shift is about choosing the energetic neighborhood where that house just feels natural and easy to build.
So, after running it through the forge, a much clearer picture starts to form. This thing isn't trying to be just another tool or like an app for your life. It's positioned as something way more foundational.
This chart really shows how it's meant to play with other tools. It's not about replacing things that work, like CBT or internal family systems, IFS, or somatic experiencing. It's supposed to be the operating system that all those apps run on. So for CBT, for example, the idea is you'd use the Animator Shift to set your baseline energy first, which would then make it way easier to do the work of challenging your thoughts.
And here's something that I think is really important for its credibility. They're super open about its weak spots. They know it's hard to prove or disprove, just like a lot of frameworks about consciousness. They know there are no big studies, yet, and they know they use metaphorical language like frequency instead of getting into specific neuroscience. That kind of transparency is pretty refreshing.
So at the end of the day, with any framework like this, the real question is, does it work for you? The only way to know is to try it. So instead of leaving you with just theory, we're going to wrap up with a really simple experiment you can run yourself.
And that's really what it all boils down to. Just a simple question to ask yourself. Tomorrow morning, before you grab your phone, and we all grab our phones, just take 1 second and ask, what identity did I wake up in today? That's it. You don't have to fix it or change it. Just noticing that simple act of recognition, that's the whole starting line.